really have much of a catering program, and they were looking for opportunities to grow their sales. And my background is in catering, so it was just kind of a natural fit for me to help them.
Thank you so much for joining us today on Connect and Collaborate, where we come together each day to introduce you to our network of business and community leaders and discuss issues that impact business. I'm Tammy Schaefer, your on-air producer, and this week our focus is on women in business. We're talking with women who make a difference in business and women's integral role sometimes, and women's integral and sometimes unique roles in the workplace. Today we are connecting with Anthony Lambatos from Footers Catering. And Anthony, it's so great to have you back.
Thank you. Always good to be here.
Yeah, we love having you on regularly, and today you're bringing us a really special guest.
Well, since I'm not a woman, I had to bring the most special woman in my life, and really the driver of so much of our success at Footers Catering. So it's a pleasure to have April Lambatos here, the other half of our core team in terms of running Footers Catering. So welcome. Thanks for being here, April.
Thank you.
Yes,
thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thanks so much for being here. Yeah, this is exciting because, well, we've mentioned that we're neighbors here in the neighborhood, and so
yes.
we all know each other not real well, but I don't know you as well as I should, so we'll correct that today.
Great.
And Anthony, I know first you want to talk about some of the great things going on at Footers, and April can contribute as well.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's been such an incredible year for us. We're very fortunate to have, it's been record-breaking summer for us, and so
wow.
we recently took 44 people to, 44 of our team members to Las Vegas to celebrate kind of the record-breaking summer and all the hard work that they had put in.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it was something that we knew we wanted to do a celebration, and we didn't quite know what that would be, and so April and I got together and really thought about how do we create a really cool experience for somebody, and it's always a challenge getting that many people on an airplane and going somewhere, but it couldn't have worked out better, and it was a lot of fun.
Oh, well, and I think Las Vegas was a great option because it had something that appealed to everyone.
Sure.
And since we took all levels of our company, it was really great to just see the natural team building and the different things that people chose to do at the time, so it was really fun.
It was so unique. People, went ziplining, and then there were some people that, wanted to go to shows, and some people that wanted to gamble, and some people just wanted to hang out by the pool. So, yes, a little something for everyone, and it was a lot of fun.
That's so great. I love that idea of bringing your workplace together in a whole different setting. Because everybody works well together, but to have that opportunity to play together is a whole different dynamic.
It definitely was.
Yeah, it was great though. I think going into it, it could have gone one of two ways, and fortunately it all worked out. And then one evening we all went out for a very fancy high-end dinner, and we were able to all enjoy the experience of five-star dining, and I think that was really special as well, because a lot of times we're the ones creating that exceptional experience and hospitality for our guests.
Yes.
And so to be treated as the guest for the evening was really special.
Yeah, important to be on the receiving end.
Yes.
Exactly. Our team, I think, really enjoyed being served.
I'm sure.
Taking a break from our typical day-to-day.
Do you then critique the service and critique the food if you're Footers Catering?
Yes and no. I
Right.
mean,
I know you're polite and kind about it. I just can see the conversation going
Sure.
that way,
Definitely. And April and I have talked about this quite a bit, that when we go to other catered events or restaurants, we appreciate how hard it is to do that. And so it's usually with an eye of, hey, this is really cool, as opposed to a critical, they did this wrong, or this could have been better. And it was an incredible experience. The food was phenomenal. We went to Scarpetta at the Cosmopolitan Hotel, and it was just a phenomenal experience, from the beverages to the service to the food, all the way through to the dessert. It was awesome.
And between the both of you, because you're both, how do I say it? Are you both owners of the company?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Kind of have to be. Married couple.
Exactly.
And family business that you both took over. So tell me why it's so important to you to bring your team together in a non-work situation like that, because I think some people would be like, that's okay, I don't need to hang out with my coworkers outside of work.
We're very fortunate that our team is willing to do that. And when April and I bought the business from my dad, that was one of the things at the core of what we wanted to do was how do we create a great place to work, and how do we do something that's a little bit different? How do we make sure that we're having fun? And at first it was very almost self-serving. Like, if we're going to spend all of our time here and do this, then we want it to be fun.
Sure.
And over time, we've seen how that has just really, grown our company. There's so many people that have embraced it and enjoyed it and appreciate it, that they've latched onto it and been excited about it as well. And so that's part of, instead of just saying, hey, we're going to do cash bonuses for everybody, we want to create an experience that they're going to remember. But we also want to provide opportunities for, like April said, organic team building.
Yes.
And that's something we learned, a few years ago doing our trips is it's a whole nother thing to take people, on a plane, get them somewhere else, and then have them spend 2 to 3 days together where you're forced to really get to know somebody on a deeper level and to see somebody from our culinary team talking to somebody from our coordination team, or somebody from our production and warehouse talking to our service team member. Those kind of relationships really strengthen. And when you go back to work, the beauty is that you're a little more trusting and a little more patient with the people you work with, because now I know April, or I know Tammy, and when something happens, we're going to be willing to figure it out and to work together, and not just assume that
somebody did something with malintent. Yeah, exactly. And you'll do this again, apparently.
Well, so the Vegas was celebratory, but next week we are going on our Footers cruise. We do an annual vacation, and this is an optional thing where we subsidize part of the trip. And so we got 26 people coming to, we're doing a cruise out of LA to Catalina Island in Ensenada, Mexico. So it should be a lot of fun.
Oh, that's fantastic. So if I may, because we're focusing on women in business this week, April, what is it? What has this transition been like when you're taking over Footers Catering with your husband, a family business? Was it easy to find your role, your place?
Well, I think for us, when we were just talking about the Footers team and taking it over, it was always a family business. And then for us to take on the second generation, we really looked at it as our Footers family that we wanted to create. And it was our first baby before our 2 babies that we have now at home. And so it was kind of a natural transition for us to find our own roles when Anthony and I partnered together, because my passion is really around the operations of the business, and Anthony is really our CEO, CFO, and then I am the head honcho of happiness and the COO of the company.
Perfect roles. I think it works really well for you, and I can't wait to hear more about how you work together, because we've heard so much from Anthony over the past few months. I think this will be a great conversation. You're listening to Connect and Collaborate, the voice of the Colorado Business Roundtable. We'll be back with more as we talk about women in business, and our focus today along with Footers Catering. We're so glad you're staying with us today for Connect and Collaborate. And today we're connecting with Footers Catering, and our focus is on women in business. So, Anthony, it's wonderful. You've brought your wife with you,
only
who
fitting.
Runs the business with you.
Yes. Exactly. The co-owner and our head honcho of happiness at Footers, and of course my wife too. She really is the, we've established such a great partnership working together. But when anyone asks who's really in charge, I always say it's her.
Wise man.
So, yes, very proud of April. She's been able to accomplish so much, not just in business, but also as a mother of 2 kids, and is well respected, within the industry, but also, here in Colorado. She was the 40 Under 40 award winner, and the Women's Chamber gave her the Young Professional of the Year award. So, there's so many people that look up to her. So I'm excited to have some conversation and hear what you have to say today about being a woman in business.
Well, thank you for asking me to be here. It's an honor.
We've thought for some time that we needed to have you on, so this is a perfect opportunity.
Exactly.
Go ahead, ask.
So, let's jump in. The focus is on women in business, and I'm curious, April, what does it mean to you to be a successful woman in business?
I guess I don't really look at myself that way as a successful woman in business. I think I've just always looked at my goals and what I want to accomplish, and I've worked really hard to achieve those.
Right.
And, sometimes I think people could have kind of a mind block around I'm a woman. And I think it's important to look at yourself as I'm a hardworking individual, and what is it that I want to accomplish? And that's, I think, attributed to my success and just making sure that I'm focused on my goals.
Where do you think you got that from? Where, was that growing up, or, where was that instilled in you?
Gosh, that's a great question. Well, both of my parents always had their own businesses. So growing up, I had great role models of being a business owner, for both a woman business owner and a male business owner. And so maybe it's because of that experience that I never really viewed it as, a man can be successful in business, but a woman can't. Because, like I said, my mom was always a really good role model for me. And I just looked at it as, what goals do you want to accomplish, and how are you going to do that?
Well, and I think it's phenomenal, because you set such a great example for so many of our team members at Footers, and we have a lot of women within our company, and they are so awesome. But I know a lot of them look up to you in terms of the tone you set. That it's we're going to go to work and we're going to get work done, and we're going to make sure it's done right. And so I think that people really appreciate that.
I think it's wonderful that I can lead by example, but really that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. I think you have to put in the hard work, and I think you have to have a great attitude while you do it, and you have to know that people are looking up to you, whether it's in the community or within your company.
Well, I appreciate what you're saying about your parents being the example. They both had successful businesses, and there was no division of like, well, this is a man's business and this is a woman's business. And I think some of us, I would include myself, were raised that way too. It's like, you just work. There doesn't have to be an obstacle, and sometimes there are definitely obstacles in the workplace, both gender-based and not. But I like coming at it with the attitude of like, I'm just going to work.
Sure, and I don't want to downplay that, but that's just never been my experience of really having those obstacles. And I think a lot of things in life are about your perspective that you have on it. And so that's just helped me maybe overcome any of those obstacles that I could have faced.
Let's talk a little bit about, your career. One of the things that I admire so much is you've always been willing to just put your head down and work and start from the bottom up. And, the story's been told many times about you going to a catering company in Florida and saying, I wanna come work here, and if I have to start in the dish pit, that's what I want to do. And so that's what you did. You jumped into the dish pit and started as a dishwasher. And
I was at the University of Florida. I graduated with a business finance degree. And then what I really wanted to do was go to the CIA, the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park, New York. But it was $80,000 for a 4-year degree. And I had to weigh the options of going into, more financial debt in order to do that, or was I going to learn through experience? And so I went to some of the top chefs that I known in the community and interviewed them and just said, look, I really want to be a chef one day. I want to be in this industry, and what do you recommend? And a lot of them said that you earn more stripes by working from the bottom up than just coming out of college feeling entitled to run a restaurant because you have this culinary degree.
And
Sure. And so I just took what they said to heart, and I think sometimes having that like guidance and listening to it and hearing multiple people tell you the same thing, like there's something to it.
Right.
And so I did. I sought out the top caterer in North Central Florida where I was living. And I went to the owner and I just said, hi, I don't know you, but I just graduated with a business finance degree, and one day I want to own a catering company and be successful like you. And I want to learn every single position. Can I start in the dish pit? Like, I literally did not know how to work the industrial dish machine. And she's looking at this cute thing out of college, like, are you crazy? Like, you want to come and wash dishes? And I was like, I really do. And so I started in the dish pit for the first month. And from there, I started working all positions in the kitchen. A couple months later, the executive chef walked out for the 3rd time. And I was given the opportunity to run the kitchen. And it was an incredible experience for me.
Well, and if you hadn't been there was no way you would have run into the head chef position.
Absolutely. And that was also an opportunity that I created for myself.
Yes, exactly.
I was very eager. I looked at it as, my second education opportunity instead of going to culinary school. And I utilized that experience to the best of my ability.
By being there and working hard.
Yep.
And what I think is so cool is you took that and you were successful, but then you decided at some point I wanted to do something else. So you move here to Colorado, right?
Yeah.
And uproot your life and start a new challenge. And so talk us through some of the challenges of moving, starting with Paradise Bakery and the way you were able to work your way up there to be, the top salesperson in the country. Talk us through the challenges you had to overcome to get from Florida to here and then be successful once you got here.
Sure. I absolutely loved my job back in Florida, working for a caterer and running the kitchen, and that's really where my passion lies, in the food and operations side of things. But I knew that there was more out there and more opportunity for me, and I didn't want to be constrained to what I was doing. You have to kind of go outside your comfort zone. And so I moved out to Denver in 2005 and wanted to kind of expand my horizons, and I found Paradise Bakery, an amazing company that pride themselves on being a family business and their core values and everything made from scratch. And I started there when they didn't really have much of a catering program, and they were looking for opportunities to grow their sales. And my background was in catering, so it was just kind of a natural fit for me to help them build their catering business, I guess, grow the catering business. And then from there, I had many opportunities within the company to be on their executive team and open multiple restaurants. We had 11 Paradise Bakeries at one time, including airport stores as well. And so that was another learning lesson in and of itself. And yes, I won the top sales award in the history of the company nationally, and I was able to expand my network through sales and business development, and that kind of pushed me in a different area. So I'm always looking for those growth opportunities, but also creating them for myself as well with that hard work, ambition, and kind of ideas around what I can do.
As opposed to just waiting for it to fall in your lap, which
Absolutely.
is, I think, a mistake that comes across quite a bit, where people are just waiting for somebody to come tap them on the shoulder and say, hey, here's an opportunity for you. And we find that, especially at Footers, the most successful people are the ones that go out and say, hey, here's what I want to do. They come out, they work hard, they put out a plan together, and they just keep pushing and pushing. So I think, again, that example you've set has trickled down to a lot of our all-stars that we have at Footers. You talked about your parents. Are there any other people in your life that have been influential or mentor to you?
We go back to kind of your individual ambition, and I've always sought people out. At Paradise Bakery, the VP of operations was Brian Comp, and he was an amazing mentor to me. He had the patience and he took the time, but he also saw my willingness to want to grow and learn. And I think because of my willingness, he then in turn took the time, because it's not like he was just taking the time for anyone, but he knew that I really wanted that, I guess. So he was a huge mentor for me. The same thing.
He saw something in you.
He saw something in me, but also I think I was banging down the door to say, I want to learn from you. I want to be in your shoes one day. I want to be there. And I think that is important. This, sometimes just sitting back and waiting for it. I don't know that is the path to make most people successful. And so that he was a huge mentor. My parents, even learning from you, Anthony, like, you're a mentor to me. We talk about that. And I think being aware of my strengths and my weaknesses, and just always trying to grow and know that no one's perfect. And there's definitely a lot of things I lean on the team for and lean on other people for. And so there can be mentors in every area of your life.
I love that you talk about seeking them out, because again, one of those things of, I think what defines or differentiates the people that are successful from the people that struggle or just kind of getting by are those people that seek somebody else out to say, hey, I'd love your help. And at the end of the day, what's the worst that's going to happen? They say no.
Right.
Okay, you didn't have much to lose there. Go on to somebody else. 90% of the time, from my experience as well, if you go on and seek it out, people are willing to help you and to give you advice and to give you their time if they know you're going to utilize it in a productive and positive way.
Absolutely. I think if you can tell somebody that you see them as a mentor, they will kind of return it as a favor, maybe. We'll be back with more here on Connect and Collaborate. We are focusing on women in business, and today we are talking about the other half of the Footers team with April Lambatos. We will be back with more here on Connect and Collaborate. We're so glad you're with us here on Connect and Collaborate today. This week we're focusing on women in business, and we're connecting with Footers Catering. We have Anthony Lambatos, as usual, and his lovely wife, April, who also helps manage and run and co-own the business, right?
She's the one that really runs the show over there.
Yeah.
Just the heavy lifting.
Yes, thank you, Davey. We're excited to be here, and this is a great conversation to give some insight into, the women in business. I love that we're highlighting that this week, and so it's great to get the insight from April and her experience through her career. I want to move a little bit into something that I have a lot of respect for April. She, dedicates a lot of her time to community and other organizations, and it's something for me that I've always, wanted to be involved with different things. I love meeting different people, and I think that's ultimately, helped our business as well. But there's also that element of getting involved and giving back. So, April, you do so much. You're involved with so many organizations. You're on the board of Cystic Fibrosis. We're the president of Mile High Young Professionals. You volunteered with Minds Matter. You volunteered with Colorado Youth at Risk. There's so many organizations you've been part of. Why has that been an important thing to you to give back and to be involved with those organizations?
I have been involved with giving back to the community for as long as I can remember, from the time I was in Girl Scouts at a very young age. And so it's definitely ingrained in me as a personal core value that I have. But I also think, we're all so connected to our community in so many different ways. I feel very fortunate that with Footers Catering and through the nonprofit events that we work with over 75 nonprofits on an annual basis, we have an amazing impact, and we're able to work with them in different ways to give back for their events, and then also help them with fundraising goals that they have. And so personally, I've always done it. I can't imagine not being involved in the community and not giving back, and volunteering my time and supporting things like that.
So with so many great organizations, how do you try to decide, and how do you narrow down which organizations to get involved with?
Oh, that is a great question. I've been involved with Mile High Young Professionals for almost 7 years now, and I was sought out to be one of the founding board members there, and I'm passionate about young professionals and helping, give them opportunities for networking and access and growth. And so that was something that I'm just personally passionate about, because I am a young professional. And, 7 years ago when I got involved, I was even a younger professional. With Minds Matter and Colorado Youth at Risk, I think children need positive role models in their life and mentors. And when I was introduced to those organizations, I just had such a strong belief in their mission and what they were doing. And it really pulled at my heartstrings to give my time to help and be involved and be a role model for those young ladies. For cystic fibrosis, I was a Colorado's Finest honoree 5 or 6 years ago, and learned so much about cystic fibrosis through that experience. And then I got a blood test and found out that I am a carrier of the CF gene, and I don't have cystic fibrosis, and thank goodness we're so blessed that our children don't.
Right.
But I just felt so fortunate that, my gosh, I'm a carrier of that gene, and it could have been me or could have been our children, that I feel really personally passionate about education and awareness and making sure that other people are learning about cystic fibrosis. Yeah. So that's why I've been involved with that.
And have the resources they need, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's very cool, because you're one of the few board members that don't have a very, very direct connection to somebody with CF, and so I think that you fill such a special role on that board, and they really appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. It's unique.
Going on to the mentoring and the giving back, I think as people are jumping into the workforce, you could make an argument that they don't know where to turn and they don't know where to look, and so I think it's been really cool that you've taken your time to say, hey, let me help you and let me show you that path and some of these things that you maybe learned growing up or learned working at in a two family businesses all your life, that people don't always have that opportunity to understand how to move up, or how to ask for a mentor. I mean, we talked about that in the last segment. I think that's something that people don't always have the confidence or know how to do, and you've done just such a phenomenal job with that. What are some of the other things that you feel like young professionals need help with, or advice you would give them as they come into the workforce?
Oh, let's see. I just think personally, I can only speak from my experience and my beliefs, and what I would say is, you can seriously accomplish anything that you set your mind to. I truly believe that. I think there's a lot of people that talk about their dreams but never take action. And I would say just start taking action. Just start chipping away at it and moving in that direction and working towards what you want to accomplish in life and your goals. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because you're still learning, and that's okay. I'm still learning. We'll learn till the day we die. And if you understand that, then you're not as vulnerable to ask for help. And I think if people really understood what they're capable of, people are always asking, what would you tell your 19-year-old self, or what would you tell yourself when you were in high school? And it's just believe in yourself, have confidence, and then work hard. It's going to be hard work, right? Like, that's why it's called work. We have a lot of fun at Footers, but it's still work at the end of the day, and it's extremely difficult, physically demanding, stressful work. But if you can have fun with it too, and if you're working towards something you're passionate about, then you're going to enjoy it, and you're going to want to do it for a long time, and you'll naturally be successful.
I love what you said about asking for help. Should not be looked at as a weakness, and it's something we talk to our team a lot about. That don't try to go on an island and prove that you can do it all on your own, because ultimately we're going to be stronger if we work together as a team. And so I think that's huge for people that are coming up in the workforce and trying to prove themselves, that it doesn't have to be all on you. You can ask for help and push through, accomplish things as a team, and it won't be looked down upon.
Well, I think that's something at Footers that's helped us be successful. Is Anthony and I both have that understanding, and so I don't want to hire people that are just going to do what I tell them to. I need to look for people that are going to add more value than I can add in certain areas of the company, and that are going to push us outside of our comfort zone to make us better and to do things differently than we've always done it. And that's kind of been our philosophy, and we have an amazing team of people. And when people come up and compliment Footers and what a great job we're doing, we really have to give the credit to the team, because it's not us, it's everybody, and it's everybody pitching in and doing it together. And there is absolutely no way Anthony and I could do it on our own. So.
So many of of our younger team members, and specifically a lot of the women in our organization look up to you. What's been your approach to helping them grow?
I don't know exactly. I would say I manage mostly the men on the team, oddly enough, and Anthony manages most of the women.
Is that right?
It's just how it works out with our departments, not intentionally, but
sure.
One of the biggest things that you really do a great job at, Anthony, is coaching our team members, and I think having patience, and that's something I've learned over the years. I definitely have not always been the most patient of leaders, because I just want to get in and get it done and let's go. But I think giving that time to someone and coaching them personally and professionally is really, really important, because we say if you're not happy at home, you're not going to be happy at work. And if you're not happy at work, you're going to take that home and not be happy at home. And so I think just giving people that time and really getting to know them on a personal level really helps to contribute to the relationship and their professional, experience.
And they know you care. I've seen you do that so many times, where maybe it's somebody that reports directly to me, but they may go into April's office and just have a conversation with her, and it's not necessarily a work-driven, what should I do in this situation, but it's just a chance to have a conversation.
Like a camaraderie, let's talk this through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And she can be such an amazing resource for so many of our team members.
That's important to have in so many work situations, is that person you can turn to what do you think of this, and how would you handle it, and then you can go back and smooth everything out the way it needs to be, right? We are talking today with Anthony and April Lambatos from Footers Catering, and we're focusing on women in business. So we'll talk more with April when we come back here on Connect and Collaborate. Thanks again for staying along with us today here on Connect and Collaborate. This week our focus is on women in business, and today we're talking with April Lambatos and Anthony Lambatos from Footers Catering. And Anthony, normally we're talking with you as we talk about, you know, how to create a great place to work and the dynamics of a workplace. And today with our focus on women in business, we're so glad to have your wife April joining, because you run the business together.
That's right.
And so I have to wonder, when you're working together and then you've got your home life together, how much of it spills over, and do you end up talking about work all the time?
Yes.
No, say it's not true.
Well, you know, I know couples that work together, you know, they all have different philosophies on how they want to manage that, and it's an evolution, and it's something that you have to continue to work on,
and also realize what works for you.
You know, there's a lot of people that say, "Oh, once we leave work, we're not, you know, it's no more work." And for us, I think we always thought that, you know, not all great ideas happen between 9 and 5.
Of course.
So, you know, not to mention our business spills into the nights and the weekends.
Of course.
And that's kind of what we do. And so I look at it. Largely, it's what made us successful early on. You know, we had a very professional, a lot of professional respect for one another before we started working together, and I think that laid the groundwork for understanding. You know, I know she's awesome and she's going to do great work, and she knew that I could, you know, contribute a lot to make us successful as well. And so we, you know, jumping in, new business owners, we wanted to put everything we had into it, and so we were talking about work all the time, and we were full on into it, and I think it's largely what made us successful in the early time.
Yeah, and there was no other choice but to make it successful, and so I think
exactly
we put everything that we had into it.
Well, and as a family-owned business, then work is your life to some degree. But
yep,
sure.
Well, especially with both of us in it. I mean, she made the point we had no choice to be successful when you put all of your
eggs are in that basket.
Into that basket. You know, we have to do whatever it takes to make sure that this works and is successful. As we've grown, and you know, the companies, you know, just we have so many awesome people. It's allowed us that ability to continue to have higher level discussions about where are we going and how do we change this, and it's not as tactical as it once was. You know, and then you throw 2 kids into the mix, and it's forced us to say, all right, we really have to have some separation and some time that's not about work. And I think our kids have definitely helped with that.
Yeah, and we're still figuring it out.
Of course, you know? Of course. Yeah, I think that you would have to determine a few boundaries, like, okay, well, the kids aren't going to start talking about about the business just yet. So,
yeah, I think it's an evolution with
have some boundaries.
With the business. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay, Anthony, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, we'll jump in. You know, one of the things that I always like to talk about is creating a great place to work, and you know, our listeners always hear about it from my perspective. So I'm excited for April to kind of talk about from her perspective why it was important for us to create a great place to work, and what it's taken to create a great culture at Footers.
Yeah, I think, you know, going into it together, our goal has always been we want to create a great place to work. If we're going to spend so much of our life working, we want to have fun, and we want to surround ourselves with great people, and that truly is why we call ourselves the Footers family. Everyone that we, you know, bring on board, our hiring process it's pretty extensive, because we want to make sure that people are the right fit, and that we're the right fit for them as well. We want people to interview us as much as we interview them. And I think that is really important, because I think our culture can really attract a lot of people, but it can also scare a lot of people off as well.
Right.
We're a handful for some. And, you know, I think we've just done it by working at it every single day. One of the first things we did as a company is create a, you know, mission, a vision, core values, and that's really the guiding force behind creating the Footers awesomeness, you know, and living those and making sure that decisions that we make kind of abide by those core values and mission, and it's really what we believe in. So we don't necessarily make our decisions just based financially. Of course, that's a component because we have to be a healthy, thriving business, but we want to make those decisions based on what's the right thing to do. You know, do we love this? Are we going to be passionate about it?
Right.
Are we creating those exceptional experiences and making it better every day? And so I think that's really helped us by sticking to our guns. And sometimes it's easier to, to not have to go through all those processes and just make some quick decisions. And we said, no, this is going to be kind of our compass, and it's going to guide us along the way. And making sure that, I guess one of the biggest things has been our team of people, and making sure that we're really I guess I can't think of the word, but Anthony, you can help me out.
Well, showing them we care and valuing them. I think people get caught up with grandiose things, and yes, our trips and the fun things we do for our team are important, but just the other day, it was something small that you did for actually it was all the female team members on our management team. She found these cute little what are they?
Like little clutch bags.
Little clutch bag, and a couple of cool pens, and wrote a handwritten note to all the female female people on our management team, just to say how much we appreciate what they were doing and how much she enjoyed working with them. And that little note was something that it takes a little effort and a little time, but it's not like we were had to spend tons amount of money to show somebody we cared about them and show somebody that that April was thinking about them.
Right.
Good job with that, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. But and then it starts at hiring the right people too, and that doesn't always work out. Even though we have that extensive hiring process, sometimes we have to make difficult decisions as business owners as well to make sure that we're abiding by those core values. And
when you've made the wrong decision, correcting it quickly. That's something that we've learned, I think, along the way. That maybe we've been a little slow to fire when we've tried too hard to rehabilitate somebody and get them on the right path.
Yeah, you want it to work out.
Hey, we know this isn't a good fit. We really should have made a decision a long time ago because I think for us, we underestimated how detrimental that can be to the rest of the team when you have somebody that isn't a good fit.
Right.
People see that and think that, okay, if Anthony and April are allowing that to happen, it must be okay.
Oh, good point.
And so that's been something I know that we've learned along the way.
Yeah, and that's been a big impact on our culture. It's not just, we had a ping pong table in our awesomeness room. We have an awesomeness room. It's like, no, it comes down to difficult business decisions, making sure we have the right people, and then if we don't, that's going to happen to any business owner. So
that's what I was going to ask, is how has that culture evolved over the years at Footers?
Well, we no longer have a ping pong table. We've now changed it into our Zen balance room with a snack wall. And but I think Anthony always jokes that just because you have a ping pong table doesn't make you
it a great place to work. Yeah.
And I think 8 years ago it was cool, and now it's kind of got this little bit of a different impression on it. And so we've kind of reinvented ourselves over the years and evolved. And
well, and it sounds like you're kind of taking the pulse of your employees and of your team, and what would be awesome for them.
Yeah.
Well, and that's an interesting thing when we talk about that evolution. We have team members. Lindsay's been with us for this is her 12th year, and this is Colbert's 11th year, and this is Sam's been there for 7 years, and there's people that have been with Footers for a long time, and they've evolved as families. We all started working this. None of us had kids. There were a lot of us that weren't even married yet, and so we've had to where early on it was easy to hang out and have fun and just build that camaraderie. And as we've gotten older and started to move into a different phase of our life with families, we've had to be much more intentional about how we build the culture and how do you do things that appeal to a mother, and how do you Lindsay and Colbert, I think, are two awesome examples of team members that have had children and have continued to work in the business, and working with them to figure out how it's going to work at Footers and how it's going to work for them. And
they've
that
been very successful at it too.
Yeah.
Not just continue to work, but they're one of our top two.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Top two coordinators, yeah.
Exactly. That they've continued to thrive.
Yes.
And it's not this, I've had kids, now I've got to,
Yeah, I'm scaling back or whatever.
Wrap up my career.
Well, that doesn't happen, because when you have kids, you're working that much harder to make sure make sure you have everything. And how let's wrap up with this a little bit. now that you've got 2 children now, and I'm sure it just does change the dynamic of how the 2 of you work, how the 2 of you manage at home, and you recognize that with your employees as well, that they need that balance too.
Exactly.
In what ways do you do that?
Well, flexible work schedule is probably the number one thing. I mean, kids have their own schedules, and kids get sick, and kids can only get to school at certain times, and sometimes you can only have babysitters at certain times. So the flexibility of understanding that and knowing that, hey, yeah, you've got the flexibility to take care of that, but you may have to do some proposals at 10 o'clock tonight after the kids go to bed, and allowing them to figure out what their schedule is, I think is huge. Anything you'd add to that?
Yeah, just at the end of the day, we're in the events industry. It's a 24/7 animal,
Yeah.
so you figure it out, and that's hard too. So we try to be as understanding as possible when we can.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, April, for coming on our show today so we can round out this week-long focus of women in business. And Anthony, thank you for bringing April along.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks for being part of it.
Why would you? My knee was